It's Friday, everyone. What do we do on Fridays here at the Hint Hive? That's right, we smash the patriarchy. Hello, my fellow queens. Welcome back to the Hint Hive, Amplifying Women's Voices. I'm your host, Kelly Hint, your resident psychotherapist, feminist life coach, and forever queen bee of this hive. Today's episode is one of my absolute favorites because it is about power, legacy, and reclamation. It is about the women whose brilliance changed the world, yet whose names were buried beneath centuries of patriarchy, colonialism, and male-centered storytelling. We're talking about the hidden heroines, women in history who changed the world but were pushed to the footnotes. These women did not just exist. They disrupted systems, invented technology, healed communities, organized resistance, wrote truth, challenged oppression, and built the foundations of the world we live in today. And still, their names were buried, their faces erased, and their contributions minimized. So today, we are unearthing them. We are saying their names. We are reclaiming their stories. And while we're at it, we are reminding you that you are not too much, too loud, too ambitious, or too bold. You are walking in a lineage of warriors, thinkers, creators, and revolutionaries. So let's be real and talk about why women have been erased. It's sadly simple. History has been curated through a patriarchal lens, written by those in power, for those in power. For literal centuries, women were denied education, property rights, financial independence, political power, and scientific credit. And when women did create something revolutionary, their work was credited to men. Their names were removed. Their stories were minimized, questioned, or outright stolen. And this erasure is not accidental. It is systemic. It protects the myth that power belongs to men and that women are merely the supporting characters in someone else's story. And that same system still whispers to women today, stay small. Don't disrupt. Be grateful. Don't take up space. But we are done with that narrative. We are rewriting the story, one act of rebellion at a time. So in our own act of defiance here, let's talk about a few of the hidden heroines who changed the world. Some you may know, others you may be hearing about for the first time. Up first, we have Rosalind Franklin. Her work on X-ray diffraction was essential to discovering the structure of DNA. Yes, that DNA. Kind of a big deal, right? Without her images, the double helix would not have been confirmed. Yet, for decades, it was Watson and Crick that received the credit for this discovery. Rosalind Franklin's data made modern genetics possible, but she was erased from the Nobel conversation. Apparently, that wasn't a woman's place? I don't know. I'll never understand the patriarchal loyalists. I mean, I've said it before and I will likely say it again. The patriarchy hurts everyone, not just women. Next up, we've got Claudette Colvin. I found this one really interesting and incredibly frustrating. So, 9 months before Rosa Parks, this 15-year-old girl, Claudette Colvin, refused to give up her bus seat to a white woman. She was brave, outspoken, and unwilling to shrink. My kind of gal. And she was arrested at 15 years old because she would not give up her seat. I had never even heard of this brave young girl before I started researching today's episode. Apparently, civil rights leaders feared that she was, quote, too young and too outspoken to be the face of the movement. A few months after her arrest, she was also unmarried and pregnant, which made civil rights activists very leery. So she was set aside and replaced by other figures. Now, please understand, this in no way, shape, or form takes away from Rosa Parks. I do not want to diminish Ms. Parks at all. That woman was equally brave. My frustration lies with Claudette being hidden away because she wasn't the right kind of female. You know, chaste, quiet, knows her place, etc. We should probably move on to our next heroine before I go on a rant, because this is not an episode about female stereotypes and purity culture. Okay, heroine number 3, Katherine Johnson. Katherine was a NASA mathematician whose calculations helped land astronauts on the moon and bring them safely home. She was a Black woman working in a segregated system, and without her, Apollo missions would have failed. Yet I never even learned about her in school. Have you? If you have, fantastic. If not, join the I was only taught white male history club. Next up. Number 4, Ada Lovelace. Ada was the first computer programmer over 100 years before computers even existed. Her brilliant mind imagined machines doing more than math. She predicted modern computing and artificial intelligence. And finally, we've got Hedy Lamarr. Yes, she was a Hollywood actress and also the inventor of frequency hopping technology, which laid the groundwork for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and GPS. During World War II, she co-developed this system with composer George Antheil to prevent enemy forces from jamming Allied torpedoes. Their patent was initially ignored, but decades later the same principles became the backbone of modern wireless communication, proving that her genius was far ahead of its time. See, ladies, women didn't just change history. We built the future. And yet, history wants to keep erasing us. Well, thanks to loudmouthed, misbehaved women like me, we will not allow that to happen, will we? Now, let's move into the psychological impact of erasure, because I, as a therapist, can't ignore the psychology around this. So, when women never see themselves reflected as leaders, or as inventors, or rebels, or geniuses, it creates a lot of issues. I know you've probably heard the expression representation matters, right? It does, because when we don't see representation, this is where imposter syndrome can creep in. That persistent feeling that you're a fraud, that your success is accidental, and that you'll be found out, even when your experience, your skills, and your achievements prove otherwise. Also, this erasure creates fear of ambition, the learned belief that wanting more makes you selfish, ungrateful, or too much, causing you to downplay goals, avoid leadership, and hesitate to claim your power. I know that all of us have felt at some point in our lives that wanting more was selfish. And I'm telling you, it is not. That is the social conditioning that keeps women subservient and keeps us from wanting our goals to be too big, because what if it affects other people, right? And then we've got guilt for success. This is the internalized shame that arises when you achieve, earn, or shine, making you feel responsible for others' discomfort and causing you to downplay your wins or sabotage your own growth. I have heard this with some of the women that I've worked with. I have heard them minimizing their achievements because it makes other people uncomfortable. Ladies, please stop doing that. Own your achievements. You earned them. I don't care what anyone says. And also, this systemic erasure of women creates a habit of overgiving and undercharging. That cycle of pouring your time, energy, and emotional labor into others while minimizing your own worth, which leads to you accepting less than you deserve and reinforcing burnout and resentment. And I can tell you, along with this, therapists, it's kind of a predominantly female profession, right? There are a lot of women in the profession of being psychologists, counselors, what have you. And I cannot tell you how many times I've heard my fellow female therapists have a lot of guilt over raising their fees. Embarrassingly, I'm one of them. I've had to do a lot of work not to minimize my own worth because I'm in a helping profession. And as we've discussed in lots of other episodes, women are conditioned to be givers, to be self-sacrificing. And so somewhere along the way, that means what I'm supposed to provide my services for free. I'm telling you, the guilt is real. And it's not just me. It's lots of us other therapists. And also, to be fair, I would assume that men in this field also maybe struggle. I don't know. I don't think I've ever had a conversation with any of my male colleagues about them feeling guilty about the fees they charge. Okay. Don't want to get lost down that rabbit hole. Okay. Finally, this erasure that women experience creates silence when we should be roaring. That damn habit of swallowing your truth, censoring your needs, and staying quiet just to keep the peace, even when your voice is the very thing that could change the room. Now, hear me when I say this. None of this is a personality flaw. It is cultural conditioning. It is what happens when a society teaches women that their value comes from service, not sovereignty. And I'm here to tell you that it ends with us, with every single one of you watching or listening. Now let's talk action steps. How do we reclaim our inner heroine? That badass warrior that is waiting to bust forth and change the world. Step number 1, rewrite your narrative. Journal about the moments that you were told to be smaller. Then, write the truth of who you really are. Ask yourself, who was I before I learned to shrink? What dreams did I put on pause to stay safe or to be liked? Write without censoring yourself. Let the page hold your anger, your grief, and your hope, because this is where your new story begins. And if you're not a big fan of writing things out, maybe you do it in a voice memo on your phone. Anything to get these thoughts and feelings out, because you are rewriting a new story. Step number 2, name your lineage. Choose a historical or modern woman that you admire. Let her be your symbolic guide. Learn her story. Speak her name. And reflect on what she represents to you. Courage, brilliance, defiance, or resilience. Ask yourself how her journey mirrors your own and what parts of her strength you are ready to embody. Let her remind you that you come from a long line of women who refused to disappear. Step number 3, speak your name. This one may sound weird, but stay with me for a sec. Say your full name out loud before big moments. It anchors you in presence and power. Feel the vibration of your identity in your body. This is not ego. This is embodiment. Because your name carries your story, your ancestors, your resilience. Let it remind you that you belong in every single room that you enter and that your voice deserves to be heard. I will tell you, I have done this at times before I have led a presentation or walked into a group that I was leading. I have said to myself, you are Kelly freaking Hint. Get your crap together. You got this, girl. And for some reason, that just empowers me. So I would encourage you, remember who the hell you are and say her name out loud because she's fabulous. All right, step number 4, stop shrinking. Practice saying, I deserve to be here. Every single time that fear creeps in, remind yourself that you deserve to be here, that you are of value. Do not shrink yourself. Ask yourself whose voice that really is. That nagging little person that's trying to shrink you. Who is she, or he, or they? Then choose to take one bold, visible action anyway. Speak up. Apply something you've learned. Charge more for your services, or say no. Each small act of courage trains your nervous system to recognize that taking up space is safe, necessary, and powerful. And then finally, step number 5, one of my faves. Teach another woman. Share these stories loudly and often. Share your stories. Share hidden heroine stories. Tell your friends, your daughters, your sisters, your coworkers. Post about them. Say their names in rooms where women are missing. Create space for other women to rise with you. Amplification is resistance. Sisterhood is revolution. Because when one woman rises, we all rise. Time for our affirmation of the week, ladies. This week, we got to say this to ourselves. I am the legacy they tried to erase, and I am rewriting history with my life. Say it again to yourself. Say it louder if you need to. This affirmation is your declaration of sovereignty. You do not need permission. You do not need approval. And you sure as hell do not need to be quieter in order to be worthy. You are a living continuation of every woman who dared before you. That, my queens, is legacy. Hidden heroines remind us that change rarely comes from those who are comfortable. It comes from those who are courageous. Their stories live in you every single time that you speak up, that you take up space, or choose yourself. You are not late to your power, ladies. You are right on time. All right, my fellow queens, if this episode lit a fire in you, here's what to do. Share this episode with a woman who needs her power reflected back to her. Subscribe and leave a review to help amplify women's voices everywhere. And come join our Facebook community where we rise together, because no queen should walk alone. Until next time, remember, you are not invisible. You are inevitable. This is Kelly Hint, Queen Bee of the Hint Hive, signing off.